A very good afternoon to all our viewers and welcome to a new edition of The World Today, where we bring you all the latest news from the websites online. Now, of course, we start straight away with news from home and from Al-Ahram online. A headline reads, Egypt officially kicks off 2-year stint on UN Security Council. Egypt has officially kicked off its 2-year term as a non-permanent United Nations Security Council member on Friday, with predictions that it would start its term promoting the causes of some of its troubled neighbors. This is the first Security Council term for Egypt since 1997, but the 5th term in total. The country is likely to start its term pushing for a resolution to cancel a 2011 arms embargo on Libya's government. Egypt has already asked Security Council member Jordan in February 2015 to propose a draft resolution of the embargo's lift on behalf of Egypt. The resolution was not adopted. Other countries selected as non-permanent members for the 2016-17 term are Senegal, Uruguay, Ukraine and Japan. Egypt has been a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council 4 times, 1949, 61, 84 and 96. In 61, Egypt supported the independence on African countries and abstained from voting on decisions supporting Israel. In 1984, it supported the Council's efforts to end Israel's invasion of Lebanon. Right, moving on to the Daily Star Lebanon, a headline reads, United Nations Libya envoy in Tripoli for government talks. The UN envoy for Libya arrived in Tripoli Friday to encourage the administration there to commit a national unity government aimed at ending years of violence in the country. Martin Kobler, on desperate diplomatic push to get 2 separate administrations to sign a power-sharing agreement, met Thursday with representatives of Libya's internationally recognized government near its eastern headquarters. Libya has been lost since 2011, the ouster of longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi, and now has 2 governments and 2 parliaments. Extremist outfits such as Daesh have taken advantage of the lawlessness to make gains along the coastline, and the United Nations estimates that 435,000 people have been forced out of their homes due to the fighting. On December 17, under UN guidance, envoys from both sides and a number of independent political figures signed a deal to unify the government. Around 80 of 188 lawmakers from Libya's internationally recognized parliament and 50 of the 136 members of the rival Tripoli-based General National Congress signed the deal. Right. We are joined now live over the phone by Hela and Noro, a political analyst. Ms. Hela?
Yeah.
A very good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Right, we were just discussing the latest situation in Libya. How would you describe the recent developments in Libya and the situation in the country as it stands?
In fact, what's happening in Libya is a great danger to Egypt, because after the blows to Daesh in Iraq and in Syria, they are going, all of them are trying to go to Libya. They are concentrating there, and this puts a great responsibility not only on Egypt, but on the international community as a whole, and on the big powers that stood idle while they were getting bigger and bigger and getting stronger, and ignoring that they are using the oil of Iraq and of Syria and buying their oil until they grew very strong. And now they say they are coming to them in Libya.
Right, Ms. Hela, let's talk about Israel now. Today, the Gulf Today has a headline saying Israel strikes Gaza sites after rocket fire. The Israeli Air Force carried out attacks on Hamas sites in the Gaza Strip early today. Palestinian security sources said just hours after rocks from the enclave hit southern Israel. According to the sources, the Israeli strikes targeted 4 empty facilities, and the Israeli army said its aircrafts targeted 2 Hamas military training facilities and 2 military sites in the Gaza Strip. Late Friday, 2 rockets fired from Gaza hit southern Israel without causing any casualties or damage. Since the end of the devastating war between Israel and Gaza militants in the summer of 2014, nearly 30 projectiles fired from the Hamas-controlled Palestinian enclave have hit Israel, according to the military. Now, How do you view the situation now? Do you see these recent clashes, lots of individual attacks by Palestinians on Israelis, and a lot of Palestinians have been shot down by the Israeli security forces? Do you think that the international community has failed the Palestinian cause?
Yes, of course they have failed, but if you notice, when concentration is bigger on Daesh and on what is called those Islamic fighters, when there is a problem for them, you find some action from Hamas. You find them doing something they don't know normally. They don't do normally to distract attention of the international community. There is a big problem, of course, between Palestinians and Israel, and Israel is a very strong power fighting innocent people. Many of them do not have arms at all. We cannot count on Hamas because Hamas is not defending Palestinians. Hamas is defending itself, is defending its power in Gaza. We don't see that they care for Palestinians or for their cause. They didn't do anything for the Palestinian cause. Whenever there is a trial of solving this problem, Hamas comes out as a problem.
Indeed. Madam Hala, the recent developments with the conflict between the two sides, lots of analysts have said a possible intifada or revolution could arise. Do you see this as a possibility?
They said that months ago, and Palestinian reaction to what Israel is doing is normal, of course, because there is tyranny on Palestinians, but it didn't reach this intifada, as they say, because they are not one power. Hamas is dividing Palestinians, is destroying any chance for solving their problem, is destroying their unity.
Indeed.
And destroying their destiny.
Indeed. Madam Hala, let's go to the World Bulletin. Headline reads, French jets strike Daesh oil sites in Syria. The French warplanes bombed the Daesh group oil installations close to its Syrian stronghold of Raqqa on Friday as the French defense minister visited the Jordanian airbase where the jets took off from. The first French strikes of 2016 were carried out by two Mirage 2000s around 2 a.m., according to a military source. France is a key member of the US-led coalition that is carrying out airstrikes on Daesh positions in Iraq and Syria. The aerial campaign was stepped up after the deadly attacks claimed by Daesh in Paris in November last year. How do you see the stepping up of the aerial strikes on Daesh in Syria by the French authorities?
By the French, it is expected after what happened in Paris.
Indeed.
And they said, we are coming to Syria, we are coming to fight Daesh, because it's very clear that the Western alliance did not really fight Daesh, because what Russia did in a very short time showed that if there is a true war against Daesh,
there would be better results.
They will be defeated.
Indeed.
So when France was hurt by what happened in Paris, it came by itself to fight them. France is trying to defend itself by fighting Daesh in Syria.
Right.
Because they adopted the attacks in Paris.
And they're making more headway than the actual coalition that the United States was leading.
The coalition of the United States, in fact, had no effective result, because every now and then they drop arms to Daesh and said, oops, it's by mistake. It is puzzling. Are they helping them or fighting them?
Indeed. Right, let's go to the Khaleej Times. Headline reads, Saudi says 3 civilians killed in missile fire from Yemen. 3 civilians, including 2 children, were killed in cross-border missile attacks from Yemen on a residential area in the southwestern Saudi Arabia. 11 others were wounded when several missiles hit residential districts, according to the civil defense spokesman, Major Yahya al-Qahtani. Saudi Arabia is leading the military coalition that has been battling the Iran-backed rebels in Yemen. The rebels have intensified their rocket attacks across the Saudi border in recent days, prompting the coalition to threaten severe reprisals. The Saudis have deployed missile batteries designed to counter attacks and have recently been intercepting missiles fired from Yemen on an almost daily basis. The situation in Yemen has left thousands killed. What are the prospects of reaching any sort of agreement in Yemen or a negotiation that will benefit the actual Yemeni civilians?
Whenever there is a chance for solution, at the last step, you always find someone who is objecting
Indeed.
to the solution, who doesn't like things who doesn't like Yemeni people to live in peace or in safety. Someone is always objecting because this someone has interest in the incumbent situation. They don't want things to change. They are seeking power. They are not seeking the stability of Yemen. They are not seeking the interest of Yemen. They are seeking their interests and seeking power. So as long as they have arms that can provide power for them, they will never stop. And they will find some countries helping them with arms, with money, with support on the international arena. What makes them accept a solution? It's not logical.
Absolutely. Let's go to the Gulf today. Also related, Saudi Arabian embassy in Iraq, which reopened it in Baghdad after a 25-year shutdown. This will allow the 2 countries to cooperate more closely against terrorism, and the kingdom closed its embassy in Baghdad in 1990 after the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. Its reopening will allow the 2 countries to cooperate on security and fight against extremism. The thaw in the once chilly relations between Saudi Arabia and Iraq could help strengthen the regional alliance against Daesh, who have seized territory in Iraq and Syria. Do you see this as a possibility? Do you see that the collaboration between these 2 countries can help strengthen the regional alliance against the Daesh militants in the region?
Of course, any cooperation between Arab countries will have a result in containing those elements because they have resources coming from some Arab countries. If Saudi Arabia, as the biggest country of the Gulf, is against Daesh, it will have a great effect on other countries, helping them with resources, with arms, with everything they need. And of course, everyone is with the unity of Arabs. It's time that Arabs unite and understand that all of them are in danger. It's not only Iraq that was destroyed. Iraq was destroyed, Syria was destroyed, Libya was destroyed, and now Yemen is destroyed, and other countries will be destroyed if they don't unite. No matter how big they are, how rich or how powerful they are, because they are talented. They must understand that and understand that their power is their unity more than anything else.
Absolutely. Earlier, the Arab League had held a meeting of its foreign minister to discuss that Turkey deployed its forces in Iraq, which was condemned by Baghdad as an illegal incursion. How do you view this deployment by Turkey?
In fact, I see that Arabs help Iraq, but sending troops to Iraq or sending troops to Syria, we are not supposed to pay the price for what the United States and the West did. They destroyed Iraq, and now they are asking us to defend Iraq. And what is Turkey? Turkey is a NATO country. If there is a policy for NATO, they can ask Turkey to pull out, to pull its forces out. Turkey is threatening Iraq to complain to the United Nations. They are threatening, they are occupying a part of Iraq and threatening Iraq that they will go to the United Nations and complain.
Madam Hela, what expected moves by the Arab League, in your opinion, or other Arab countries, in order to fulfill the complete withdrawal of the Turkish forces from Iraqi territory?
They must continue pressure, of course, on the international arena, in the United Nations, and use their power everywhere in the West, in every place in the world, to pressure Turkey. Because Turkey is not just a country, it's a part of an alliance, it's a part of NATO. And they depend on Turkey in many things. We cannot say it's only Turkey.
Indeed. Right, let's go finally to the New York Times and the headline, Munich on high alert after New Year's Eve terrorism threat. Hundreds of people and police officers remained on alert in Munich on Friday after a threat of a suicide bombing attack by the Daesh terrorist group led the authorities.
عاشت ويانا كل الحكايات سنة جاية جديدة بتندهنا شايلة لنا حاجات سنة عاشت ويانا كل الحكايات سنة جاية جديدة بتندهنا شايلة لنا حاجات خلينا نقطف كناويها نسهر ونعيش مع أمانيها خلينا نقطف كناويها نسهر ونعيش نلاقي في لياليها أحلام وغناوي سعيدة سنة راحت عاشت ويانا كل الحكايات سنة جاية جديدة بتندهنا حاجات سنة راحت من أيامنا داقت فرحنا وألمنا سنة راحت من أيامنا داقت فرحنا وألمنا واللي في أحضانها اتمنى وما جاش الحلم وغنى واللي في أحضانها اتمنى وما جاش الحلم وغنى أهي جاي عشانه سنة جديدة سنة راحت عاشت ويانا كل الحكايات سنة جاية جديدة بتندهنا شايلة لنا حاجات جديدة علينا فردة الأحضان تنادينا سنة جاية جديدة علينا فردة الأحضان تنادينا اتمنى كلنا فرحة ونلاقي معاها الفرحة اتمنى كلنا فرحة ونلاقي معاها الفرحة والحزن يروح سكة بعيدة سنة راحت عاشت ويانا كل الحكايات سنة جاية جديدة بتندهنا شايلة لنا حاجات سنة راحت عاشت ويانا كل الحكايات سنة جاية جديدة بتندهنا شايلة لنا حاجات خلينا نقطف كناويها نسهر ونعيش مع أمانيها خلينا نقطف كناويها نسهر ونعيش مع أمانيها نتمنى نلاقي في لياليها أحلام وغناوي سعيدة
Very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's your hourly top stories, and I'm Nancy Sarah Barakat. During an army operation raid in central Sinai, the military announced that it had seized a munitions depot used by terrorists in a mountainous area in the governorate. Military spokesman Brigadier Mohammed Samir said that TNT explosives were found by soldiers from the 3rd Field Army inside the hideout. He added that the incident had been referred to the prosecution. On another front, the prosecution has opened an investigation into the sinking of a ferry boat on Thursday night in the governorate of Kafr al-Sheikh. The accident left 15 people dead. In a statement, the prosecution said it will be questioning officials in charge of issuing licenses and inspecting the safety measures on board all ferries over possible negligence. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail called on the ministers of local development and transportation to ensure that all ferries are registered and have undergone regular maintenance. On Thursday, the country witnessed heavy rainfall nationwide and a drop in temperatures that led to several traffic accidents. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has executed 47 people, including a top Shiite cleric, on charges of terrorism, in the apparent message to militants that the kingdom will not tolerate violence. The deaths come amid a growing war of words between Saudi Arabia and Daesh, which has called for attacks on the kingdom. But it may also raise tensions with Iran over the execution of prominent Shiite cleric Nimr al-Nimr. Tehran